Damn, Champagne Poppy, they say them songs that you just streamed off your new project, White Man, say that shit ain't dope. The comments crazy. And then Kai Cenat, shout out to Kai Cenat. He kept it real. They said that shit. Kai said that shit was ass.
Yo, Rick Ross just called Drake washed on Instagram hours after Drake put his name in a bar on a brand new album. That's what we're talking about today. On May 15th, 2026, Drake dropped not one, not two, three albums in a single night. X-Men, Habibi, and Maid of Honor. 43 songs, zero warning, and the man did not come to make friends. He came to settle every single score he's been keeping since 2024. Rick Ross in the crosshairs, DJ Khaled got smoked, LeBron James, Drake pulled up on the king in front of everybody. Sap Rocky, Drake told him to KY spelled it out letter by letter on wax. JC Cole, the married rapper, took a shot. Jay-Z Drake said he'd rather take $500,000 in cash than sit across from have at dinner. Kendrick Lamar, Drake spent multiple tracks trying to erase the man's entire legacy. And DeMar DeRozan, a man who was supposed to be a brother from Toronto, got thrown in the trash too. Every single person on that list either crossed Drake, left him out to dry, switched sides, or stayed quiet when they were supposed to ride. And Drake remembered every single one of them, kept receipts. He kept timestamps. And on May 15th, 2026, he handed them all their bills. This is the full breakdown. Who got dissed, exactly what Drake said about them, and how they reacted when they heard their name in the bars. Cause some of these people clapped back and some of them went silent, and both of those things tell a story. Y'all need to hear this. Let's get into it. Let me set the scene for y'all because the way this drop happened was different type. May 15th, 2026, Drake does a massive live stream event in Toronto. The whole city buzzing, fireworks popping outside for what was supposedly a private video shoot. Nobody knew what was really coming. And then right after the live stream wraps, boom. 3 albums, 43 songs, all on DSP simultaneously. No rollout, no features teased, no single releases warming people up. Just raw product dropped on the culture like a piano falling off a rooftop. The internet did not know what to do with itself. Within minutes, and I'm talking minutes, gang, fans were already combing through the lyrics line by line. Cause you have to understand, Drake has been sitting on grievances since the 2024 Kendrick Lamar war. He took the L publicly. He watched former allies flip on him. He watched people he built with, toured with, made hits with stand on the other side of the line. And now the Iceman had receipts for everybody. This ain't just an album. This is a trial. And Drake is the prosecutor, the judge, and the executioner all in one. Let's break down every victim one by one. To understand why Drake went at Rick Ross the way he did, you got to go back to 2024. These two men built an empire together, fam Aston Martin music, Stay Scheming, Money in the Grave, Real certified classic records. Ross and Drake were locked in as collaborators. The Miami Boss and the Toronto Prince stacking wins together for over a decade. Then Kendrick dropped Not Like Us and the whole industry had to pick a side. Rick Ross picked Kendrick and not quietly either. Ross dropped Champagne Moments, a full disc record aimed directly at Drake. He got loud on social media. He showed out for the other team and Drake. Drake watched his former partner walk across the line like it was nothing. That's the type of betrayal that doesn't get forgotten. That's the type of thing a man with a pen remembers forever. So on Make Them Pay, Drake delivered his invoice. The line that got everyone talking was Surgical Dog. I was aiding Ross with streams before Adam and Ross had ever streamed. Pause on that for a second. That's a double entendre built like a precision missile. Drake is saying on the low that he is the reason Rick Ross had stream support, that he propped up Ross' career, activated his fan base, pushed his records, and the wordplay with a 10 Ross, the internet streamer, makes the bar quotable and cuts even deeper. He's basically saying Ross went from being boosted by Drake to being a name as random and internet-based as a Twitch streamer that's cold-blooded. No cap. And Ross was ready. Within hours of the album dropping, Ross was live on Instagram going full scorched earth. He pulled up a complex Instagram post about Drake's bars, started scrolling through the comments of fans defending Drizzy, and went off the Glazer University. He said, "Let's all leave little mans alone now." He did it. He dropped 3 mid-projects. It was fun while it lasted. You're washed. He didn't stop there. Ross posted a direct comparison between Drake's album title and his own upcoming project, Set in Stone, which is slated to drop June 12th. The message was cold and simple. Iceman melted. Stone lasts forever. Gang, that's not just a reaction. That's a campaign. Ross is already positioning his response album as The Burial. He even told the outlet Page Six, "It's always diss tracks. You know, Ross, that competitive spirit to me is what made hip-hop what it was. It has to be competitive." Then he turned his fire on podcasters Rory and Mal, calling them out for what he called heavy Drake glazing. Basically saying the whole media apparatus around Drake is designed to protect him from real criticism. Ross was not playing around. But here's where it gets crazy. Before the album even dropped, Ross went on Hot 97 with Nessa and said publicly, "Don't nobody fear Drake's album release, nobody. He already had his war face on." Drake dropped the album anyway, and Ross barked back within the same news cycle. This beef, it's not wrapping up anytime soon. Ross has a whole album of diss tracks incoming. The summer of 2026 is about to be a war zone. Now this one hit different, fam, because the Khaled disc wasn't about violence or betrayal or money. It was about something more personal in street politics. Silence when your people were under fire. DJ Khaled and Drake had a real relationship. They made anthems together. Khaled always brought Drake in when he needed a big record. And during the 2024 Kendrick beef, one of the most publicized rap wars in history, Khaled went quiet. He didn't ride for Drake. He didn't even acknowledge the smoke publicly in a meaningful way. He just disappeared into the background, went halal on them, so to speak. And Drake called it exactly that on Make Them Pay. And Khaled, you know what I mean? The beef was fully live. You went halal and got on your deen. And your people are still waiting for a free Palestine. But apparently everything isn't black and white and red and green. Break that down because it's layered. Drake is directly calling out Khaled for choosing neutrality during an active war. The Went Halal line is a reference to Khaled's Muslim faith. Drake is essentially saying that Khaled used religion as an excuse to stay out of conflict when real loyalty was being tested. Then Drake twists the knife by bringing up the Palestinian cause, suggesting that Khaled is selective about when he stands up for things, willing to be political about some things but conveniently silent when Drake needed him. That's not just a diss, that's an accusation. Drake is painting Khaled as someone who performs loyalty but disappears when it costs something real. And as of right now, Khaled has been quiet. No public response, no Instagram, nothing. Which, considering how loudly Khaled moves normally, says everything. Now y'all, this one shocked people because LeBron James and Drake had been publicly cool for years, running in the same circles, attending the same events, the Toronto, Cleveland, LA connection. LeBron is a known rap fan. He's been to OVO Fest. These two looked like genuine friends. So when Drake slid a bar at LeBron on Make Them Remember, the internet lost its mind. I shouldn't even be shocked to see you in that arena because you always made your career off of switching teams up. And then because Drake doesn't know when to stop, he doubled down with another bar. Please stop asking about what's going on with 23andMe. I'm a real N and he's not. It's in my DNA. 23andMe reference is a DNA testing company, but it's also LeBron's jersey number throughout his career. Drake is taking a shot at LeBron's authenticity, calling him fake, saying the team-switching narrative isn't just about basketball, it's about character. Think about what this means contextually, gang. LeBron was part of the same celebrity orbit that Drake occupied throughout the Kendrick beef. The arena line isn't just about basketball stadiums. It's about the arena of public opinion, the battlefield of the culture. Drake is saying, I expected you to be neutral because you always move where the wind blows. On top of that, on National Treasures, Drake seemed to take direct shots at LeBron's basketball legacy as it relates to Toronto. We must have been dealing the spur of the moment, cause why did we think you could get us a ring? They bragging about how you went home. The are they on Croy, we threw them away. Drake is connecting LeBron to the city of Toronto's broken basketball dreams. It's personal, it's specific, and it hit differently for Toronto fans who watched LeBron play in that city and then walk. LeBron has not responded publicly, but that's not a surprise. LeBron usually lets lawyers handle beefs, not tweets. Still, the silence is loud. When the biggest rapper in Canada calls the biggest basketball player in the world a snake and the basketball player says nothing, people notice. Now, we cannot talk about this album without getting into A$AP Rocky because this one has been years in the making and it runs deeper than rap. The tension between Drake and Rocky has always had Rihanna in the middle of it. Drake and Rihanna had an on and off situationship for years. Then Rocky and Rihanna got together, had kids, built a family, and the internet always connected those dots, wondering what Drake thought about the man who ended up with the woman Drake wrote songs about. Drake put that energy directly into the album. On Burning Bridges, he snapped, "Your baby mama ain't even post your single, damn, where's she at? Yeah, where's she at?" That's aimed directly at Rocky. Drake is clocking that Rihanna, Rocky's actual baby mother, did not post his music on her social media. In the world of celebrity relationships, where social media presence equals public endorsement, that's a notable detail and Drake is weaponizing it. But that wasn't even the wildest part. On Firm Friends, Drake went full nuclear with a bar that's going to be talked about for months. Kayap fam, he spelled it out letter by letter. That's not a subliminal. That's not a coded message. That is a direct, no ambiguity shot with Rocky's name literally embedded in the insult. Drake wanted that on record. He wanted there to be no debate about who he was talking about. Rocky has been in his own world. He and Rihanna been doing family things. He dropped his own music. No formal response to Drake's shots as of now. But given this level of public aggression, something has to give. J. Cole is one of the most respected rappers alive. That's established. But in 2024, Cole made a decision that the streets have never fully forgiven him for. When the Kendrick-Drake beef popped off, Cole dropped 7-Minute Drill, the response record. It was cold. Fans were hyped. The big three seemed ready for war. Then Cole pulled the record. He apologized. He stepped back and basically said he didn't want the smoke. And on a festival stage, he came out and delivered what some people called a speech about unity and peace. While Kendrick was still actively tossing grenades, the streets called it what it was, a tap-out. And Drake remembered on Make Them Pay and Make Them Remember, he took his shots. I could have fell back like the married rapper, but we engaged. The married rapper reference is about Cole, who is married and who chose peace over war. Drake is making it clear that he stayed in the fight while Cole folded. He doubles down with a big three anyway. There was too many chefs in the kitchen. It was a mess to begin with, and then the bar that cuts the deepest me. I stood 10 T's and accepted the mission cause I'd much rather death than submission. Drake is positioning himself as the soldier who didn't run. Cole had the credentials, the legacy, the respect, and he still chose to exit when things got real. Drake chose to stay. Whether you think that was a smart move or not, he's using Cole's departure as a character contrast. I stood, you didn't. No response from Cole yet, but this is J. Cole. The man processes things through lyrics. If a response is coming, it's going to be calculated and cold. Let's be clear about something. Going at Jay-Z takes a certain level of confidence that most rappers don't have. Pav is not just a rapper, he's an institution. But Drake has been feeling some type of way about Jay-Z's silence and perceived positioning during the beef. And on Iceman, he let it be known. On Janice's TFU, Drake fired. We know how you OGs rocking already. My note. Wait, the jig is up. That's aimed at Jay-Z and the older generation of rap royalty that Drake feels threw him under the bus or stayed quiet when they should have spoken. Then on Whisper My Name, he went even further with a reference to one of the internet's most famous hypothetical debates. Would you rather have dinner with Jay-Z or take $500,000 cash? Drake rapped, I'll take $500,000, not the dinner. I never could learn sit from none of y'all. That's Drake publicly saying Jay-Z's mentorship and wisdom are worthless to him. That's a statement that would have been considered career suicide 5 years ago. Now Drake is throwing it in a bar like it's nothing. The level of disrespect is intentional. He wants people to talk. He wants the reaction. He wants to prove he fears nobody. And on top of that, Drake referenced something even more specific. A line about 100 million streams vanishing with no one asking questions. Fans immediately connected that to the Spotify streaming controversies and allegations that circulated around Drake's team during the Kendrick beef. Drake is pointing a finger suggesting Jay-Z or his circles had involvement in things that hurt him and saying nobody in the media is asking the right questions. Jay-Z hasn't responded. Have famously doesn't move fast. But if Drake genuinely lights that fuse, a fully public full bars assault on Jay-Z, that's a different conversation entirely. Let me be crystal clear with y'all. Kendrick disc is not a chapter in this album, it's the entire spine of it. Every other disc in Iceman exists because of the 2024 beef with Kendrick. Every person Drake came at either contributed to his public ally against Kendrick or failed to prevent it. The whole album is essentially one long piece of evidence that Drake has not accepted the verdict. On Dust, Drake came for Kendrick's entire catalog. What was the year you said you had slaps? Cause I don't remember it going like that. I don't remember one word of your raps. Then he went straight at Kendrick's audience base. White kids listen to you cause they feel some guilt and that's how your soul gets fulfilled. Handing out turkeys on camera inside of your hood, then you go back to the hills. That's a 2-for-1. Drake is challenging Kendrick's authenticity and saying the community work is performative. Giving out turkeys on camera for optics, then going home to a mansion in the hills. Fake consciousness. Drake is essentially calling Kendrick a character, a constructed image of hood authenticity that doesn't hold up under scrutiny. Then on 1 a.m. in Albany, he went at Kendrick's height again because Drake has never let that go. And Muggsy Bogues dunked for once. Even I'm a bit amazed. Muggsy Bogues stands 5 feet 3 inches. The implication is obvious. Drake also flipped Kendrick's own words against him. Remember in the beef Kendrick had that viral moment with what is it? The braids. Drake answered it directly. What is it, the braids? Even if I cut them, I could never fade. And he addressed the Not Like Us victory directly, referencing the caged owl that Kendrick used in the music video symbolizing Drake's defeat. Drake rapped, "The owl never sees the cage. The owl only wakes up to seize the day." He's refusing to acknowledge the L. He's rewriting the narrative in real time on wax across multiple tracks. Whether people agree with his position or not, the fact that Drake is still in this war, still throwing, still showing up, that's a statement in itself. Drake did not stop at the big names, fam. He went through his whole list. DeMar DeRozan, the former Toronto Raptor who was supposed to be a city icon, got lumped into Drake's National Treasures commentary about people who came through Toronto and didn't deliver. Drake threw shade at DeRozan's tenure with the Raptors, basically saying the city was fooled into thinking DeRozan could bring them glory and ultimately had to move on. Then there's Mustard. Drake pulled up on the producer who gave the beat to Not Like Us, the track that became the anthem of Drake's public humiliation with a specific call-out on Too Hard for the radio. Mustard heard about us, got to catch up to the slaps. You ain't had one since me and YG rapped facts. 900 million for the track's Rack City. But boy, we remember that. Drake is reminding Mustard that his greatest cultural moment before Not Like Us was Rack City, a record from 2012. He's saying Mustard's career needed Kendrick's beef to have a moment, and that Drake and YG built Mustard's name before Kendrick ever entered the picture. He's pulling credits back. He's erasing the debt. And Pharrell Williams got caught in the crossfire too. Drake's lines about Virginia and chains were widely read as shots at Pharrell, who is from Virginia Beach and who has been in Jay-Z's orbit as a Roc Nation collaborator. Drake seems to feel Pharrell picked a side and is making it known. Y'all, let me zoom out for a second because this is bigger than any individual disc. What Drake did on May 15, 2026 is something that has never been done in rap before. 43 songs, 3 albums, 1 night, all aimed at reasserting his dominance after the most public defeat of his career.
On May 15th, Drake releases 3 albums, Iceman, Maid of Honor, and Habibti, totaling 43 tracks. And fans online quickly start connecting the dots on who might be catching strays across the project.
He didn't go quiet. He didn't retreat. Came back swinging at everybody. Former friends, former collaborators, a sports legend, and his biggest rival all in the same breath. And the reactions are already rolling in. Rick Ross called him washed and promised diss tracks in June. The internet is split right down the middle. Half the culture saying Drake overextended, half saying this is exactly the type of energy they needed from him. Kendrick hasn't responded. Jay-Z hasn't responded. LeBron hasn't responded. The silence from the big names is part of the story. Because here's the real tea. Drake might have missed on some bars, landed on others, but the fact that he touched everybody tells you something about where his head is at. He kept score for 2 years. He documented every dagger. And when he finally got back in the studio, he didn't make a comeback album. He made a court filing. Question now is who responds. Ross has already signaled June 12th. Cole or Kendrick or Jay-Z pick up the pen, this summer becomes the most active beef season in hip-hop history. And Drake already started it. Ice melts, they say. But right now, the temperature in the culture just dropped to 0. But let's keep it 100 because this video ain't just about Drake winning or losing. It's about what this moment means for hip-hop as a whole. And that conversation is deeper than bars. Think about the psychology of what Drake just did. This man watched himself get turned into a meme. He watched Not Like Us play at the Super Bowl halftime show. He watched Kendrick Lamar stand on stages all over the world collecting trophies that used to have Drake's name on them. He watched his former collaborators, people he funded, people he put on, people who ate at his table, stand in the crowd cheering for the man who clowned him. 2 years of that, and instead of coming back with one clean focused disc record, which is what most people expected, he came back with 43 songs and hit everybody at once. That's not a rap move. That's a psychological operation. Drake is not just trying to win the beef. He's trying to flood the zone. He's trying to make it impossible for any single response to land clean because there's too many fronts open simultaneously. Think about it. If Kendrick responds, Drake already has 10 other active beefs running as cover. If Ross responds in June, Drake's team can frame it as just one of many ongoing wars rather than the war. The volume of the drop is the strategy. Chaos is the point, and that's where people are getting it wrong in the commentary. A lot of folks online are saying Drake spread himself too thin, that dissing 15 people at once dilutes the impact of each bar. And yeah, to a certain degree, that's a fair critique. The bars aimed at LeBron aren't going to hit as hard when they're surrounded by shots at Mustard and DeMar DeRozan on the same tape. Kendrick disses lose some urgency when they're competing for attention with a Hap Rocky bars 3 tracks over, but that might actually be calculated. Drake might not want any single target to feel like the main event, because when there's one main target like there was in 2024, the culture picks a side and the other person wins or loses decisively. When there are 15 targets, the culture fractures. Nobody can agree on what to focus on. Debates split in 50 directions, and Drake stays relevant in every single one of them. Real recognize real, gang. And what's real is that nobody in this industry moves the chess pieces the way Drake moves them. Even when he loses, he reshapes the board for the next game. 2024 beef was supposed to be the end. Instead, it became the origin story for the most ambitious album strategy in rap history. He turned the loss into fuel and came back with enough material to run a full season of content. Now, here's what we're watching for going into summer 2026. Ross drops June 12th. That's confirmed. Question is whether his diss tracks are surgical enough to actually damage Drake or whether they come across as reactionary noise. Ross is talented. We know that. But Drake has the production budget, the streaming infrastructure, and the fan base to withstand almost any lyrical assault at this point. For Ross to win this round, he needs a bar so cold that even Drake fans can't deny it. That's a high bar to clear. Kendrick is the wild card. He hasn't said a word. And that silence either means he's completely unbothered, secure enough in his 2024 victory that Drake's new album is beneath a response, or he's cooking something so devastating that he's waiting for the right moment to release it. With Kendrick, you never know until the drop happens. And if he does respond, gang, that would make this the greatest beef era in the history of the culture. 2 alpha artists, multiple albums, multiple rounds. This would be Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier type _, the kind of rivalry people write books about decades later. And that's the bigger picture. Drake might be controversial. His methods might be messy. His reach might exceed his grasp on some of these dices. But what he did on May 15, 2026 is undeniable. He reminded the entire culture that he is still in it, still showing up, still taking swings. And in a world where most artists would have quietly retired after a public L that size, that means something. Ice melts, they say. Maybe. But before it does, it's making everything around it cold.